I never thought I'd be here, pouring my heart out to strangers on the internet, but I'm at my wit's end and could use some outside perspective. My life has taken such an unexpected turn that I'm still struggling to process it all. I've been married to my husband for 3 years, and we've been together for a total of 6 years. Despite our age gap, I thought we had a solid understanding of each other and our relationship. I'm career-oriented, and until recently, I was working in a high-pressure job in marketing. A few months ago, I decided to take a break to look for new opportunities that align better with my goals and values. My husband and I met at a charity event where we were both volunteers. He was charming, intelligent, and seemed to share my values about hard work and ambition. We hit it off immediately, and despite the age difference, we found that we had a lot in common. We both loved traveling, enjoyed intellectual conversations about books and current events, and shared a passion for giving back to our community. The age gap was never an issue for us. If anything, I felt that my husband's youthful energy complemented my more seasoned outlook on life. When we got married, we agreed on certain financial goals. We wanted to save for a house, plan for our future children's education, and also set aside money for our retirement. We opened a joint savings account where we both contributed equally from our salaries. The agreement was that this money was for our future, and any major withdrawals would be discussed and agreed upon by both of us. This system worked well for us, or so I thought. My husband has always been close to his family, especially his younger sister. From the moment I met her, I could tell she was the apple of everyone's eye. She's the youngest and only daughter in their family, and it's clear she's been spoiled her entire life. Don't get me wrong, I don't have anything against her personally, but her attitude and the way my husband's family treats her has always rubbed me the wrong way. I've tried to get along with her, I really have. When we first met, I made an effort to bond with her. I invited her for coffee, suggested we go shopping together, and even tried to involve her in some of my volunteer work. But it quickly became apparent that we had very different personalities and priorities. While I value independence and hard work, she seems content to rely on her family for everything. She's always seeking attention, and even though she's 27, she still acts like an entitled teenager. My husband and his mother constantly coddle her, which I find frustrating. If she's having a bad day, they drop everything to comfort her. If she wants something, they bend over backwards to get it for her, no matter how unreasonable the request. I voiced my concerns to my husband before, but he always brushes them off, saying I don't understand because I don't have siblings. "You're an only child," he'd say. "You don't know what it's like to have a special bond with a sibling. My sister needs me." I tried to explain that while I understood sibling love, there should be boundaries, especially now that we're married. But he would always dismiss my concerns, saying I was being too harsh or that I was jealous. I wasn't jealous. I was concerned about the impact his sister's demands were having on our relationship and our finances. There have been numerous incidents over the years that have caused tension, like the time his sister called at 2 a.m. because she had a fight with her boyfriend, and my husband rushed out to comfort her, leaving me alone in bed. Or the time she forgot her wallet when we all went out to dinner, and my husband paid for her expensive meal without hesitation. Each time, I tried to discuss it with my husband, but he would accuse me of being unsupportive and uncaring. I remember one particular incident that really highlighted the issue for me. It was our first wedding anniversary, and we had planned a romantic weekend getaway. We had booked a beautiful bed and breakfast in the countryside, and I was really looking forward to some quality time together. However, 2 days before we were set to leave, his sister called in tears because she had broken up with her boyfriend. Without even discussing it with me, my husband canceled our trip to stay with her for the weekend. I was devastated, But when I expressed my disappointment, he made me feel like I was being selfish for not understanding his sister's needs. Things came to a head last week at my sister-in-law's birthday party. My husband and I had agreed to get her a modest gift, a nice scarf, and a gift card to her favorite store. We had discussed it beforehand and agreed that it was an appropriate gift considering our current financial situation. I even spent time picking out a scarf that I thought she would like, trying once again to bond with her. The party was held at an upscale restaurant, and from the moment we arrived, I could tell it was going to be an extravagant affair. The decorations were over the top, with custom floral arrangements on every table and a live band playing in the corner. My sister-in-law was dressed in a designer gown that probably cost more than my entire wardrobe. I felt out of place in my simple cocktail dress, but I tried to push aside my discomfort and enjoy the evening. As the night progressed, I noticed my husband acting strangely. He seemed nervous and kept checking his watch. I assumed he was just anxious about giving a speech or something similar. When it came time for presents, I watched as my sister-in-law opened gift after gift, each more expensive than the last. Designer handbags, luxury spa packages, even a set of keys to a new car from her parents. I felt a twinge of unease, wondering how our modest gift would be received in comparison. Then, it was our turn. I reached for the beautifully wrapped package containing the scarf and gift card, but my husband stopped me. "Wait," he said, a strange excitement in his eyes. "I have something special." Imagine my shock when I saw him present her with a stunning jewelry set that I later found out cost $25,000. The set included a necklace, earrings, and a bracelet, all sparkling with diamonds and sapphires. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. The look of pure joy on his sister's face and the adoration in my husband's eyes made me feel sick to my stomach. Everyone at the party was in awe, praising my husband for his generosity. His sister squealed with delight, throwing her arms around him and gushing about how he was the best brother ever. His parents beamed with pride, as if he had just won a Nobel Prize. And there I stood, feeling like a complete outsider in my own marriage. I managed to keep my composure during the party, but inside, I was seething. How could he spend so much money without even discussing it with me? Where did he even get that kind of money? My mind was racing with questions and scenarios, each worse than the last. The rest of the party passed in a blur. I plastered a fake smile on my face and made small talk with the guests, all the while feeling like I was going to explode. My husband, on the other hand, was the life of the party. He laughed, joked, and basked in the admiration of his family. Not once did he look at me or try to gauge my reaction. It was as if I didn't exist. As soon as we got home, I confronted him. I couldn't hold it in any longer. The facade I had maintained throughout the party crumbled the moment our front door closed behind us. "What were you thinking?" I demanded, my voice shaking with anger and hurt. "How could you spend $25,000 without even mentioning it to me?" He had the audacity to look surprised at my reaction. "I thought you'd be happy for my sister," he said. "She's been talking about that jewelry set for weeks." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "That's not the point," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "We have a joint account for our future, for our plans to start a family. You can't just take money out of it without discussing it with me first." He sighed, looking exasperated. "Look, I got a big project at work recently. The client paid a hefty advance, and I put it in our joint account. I thought it would be a nice surprise for everyone if I got my sister something special for her birthday." I felt my blood pressure rising. "And you didn't think to mention this to me, your wife?" "I wanted it to be a surprise for you too," he said, but his excuse sounded weak even to my ears. "A surprise?" I echoed incredulously. "A surprise is a weekend getaway or a nice dinner, not withdrawing $25,000 from our savings. He started to get defensive. You don't have siblings, so you wouldn't understand. My sister is important to me, and I wanted to do something nice for her. And what about me? I asked, my voice rising. Am I not important? Doesn't my opinion matter when it comes to our finances? Of course you're important, he said, but his tone was dismissive. But you've been jobless for months now. I'm the one bringing in the money, so I should have a say in how it's spent. His words hit me like a slap in the face. Jobless? I've been looking for a new opportunity that aligns with my career goals. We agreed that I could take this time to find the right fit. And may I remind you that I contributed equally to our savings before I left my job? Yeah, but what have you contributed lately? He shot back. You're just sitting at home while I work hard to provide for us. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. This man, who had supported my decision to leave my jobs and find a better opportunity, was now throwing it in my face. The argument escalated, with both of us saying hurtful things. In the heat of the moment, he called me a nagging, jealous housewife and told me to get a job if I wanted to have a say in our finances. That was the last straw. I grabbed my purse and keys and stormed out of the house. I drove around aimlessly for a while, trying to calm down and process what had just happened. Eventually, I ended up at my parents' house. They were surprised to see me so late, but one look at my face told them something was wrong. I broke down and told them everything. My mom held me while I cried, and my dad listened quietly, his face growing sterner by the minute. They offered to let me stay with them for as long as I needed, and I gratefully accepted. It's been a week since that night, and I'm still at my parents' house. My husband has been calling and texting nonstop, alternating between apologizing and trying to justify his actions. He keeps saying that I'm overreacting, that it's just money, and we can easily earn it back. But for me, it's not just about the money. It's about trust, respect, and partnership, all of which I feel have been severely damaged. I'm seriously considering divorce. I know it might seem extreme to some, but I feel like this incident has revealed fundamental issues in our relationship. His disregard for my feelings, his impulsive decision-making with our joint finances, and the way he threw my career situation in my face during our argument. All of these have made me question whether we're truly compatible. As I sit here in my childhood bedroom, I find myself at a crossroads. Do I try to salvage this marriage, to see if we can rebuild the trust and respect that has been lost? Or do I accept that sometimes love isn't enough, that fundamental differences in values and priorities can doom even the strongest relationships? I think about the future we had planned together, the house we wanted to buy, the children we hoped to have. It breaks my heart to think of letting go of those dreams. But then I imagine bringing children into a home where their father prioritizes his sister's wants over his family's needs, where financial decisions are made unilaterally, where their mother's opinions and feelings are routinely dismissed. Is that the kind of environment I want for my future children? My parents have been incredibly supportive throughout this ordeal. They've assured me that I can stay with them for as long as I need, that they'll support whatever decision I make. Their unconditional love and support have been a lifeline in these turbulent times. As I contemplate my next steps, I'm trying to reconnect with myself. I've started looking into job opportunities again, reaching out to old colleagues and updating my resume. Regardless of what happens with my marriage, I know I need to regain my financial independence and rebuild my self-esteem. I'm also considering therapy for myself to help process all these emotions and to gain clarity on what I truly want for my future. I realize that whether I choose to try and save my marriage or to end it, I'll need support and guidance to navigate the challenging times ahead. The thought of starting over at 42 is daunting. If I do decide to get a divorce, I know it won't be easy. There will be legal battles, division of assets, and the emotional toll of ending a relationship that I once thought would last forever. But as scary as that prospect is, the thought of staying in a marriage where I'm not valued or respected is even scarier. Am I overreacting? Should I try to work things out with him? Or is this the kind of breach of trust that's hard to come back from? I'm lost and could use some advice. Update 1. It's been about 2 weeks since my last post, and a lot has happened. I wanted to give you all an update on my situation, and thank you for your support and advice. After much soul-searching, I've made the difficult decision to proceed with divorce. It wasn't easy, but I feel it's the right choice for me. The jewelry incident was just the tip of the iceberg, and I've realized that there are fundamental issues in our relationship that I don't think we can overcome. My husband has made several attempts to apologize and reconcile. At first, his messages were a mix of apologies and justifications. About a week ago, he showed up at my parents' houses unannounced with flowers, begging me to come home. He promised to change and said he'd do anything to save our marriage. Seeing him like that shook my resolve briefly, but then I remembered all the times he'd dismissed my feelings and put his sister's wants before our needs. I realized that one grand gesture couldn't erase years of disrespect and boundary issues. I told him that while I appreciated his apology, I didn't think our relationship could be salvaged. I explained that the issue wasn't just about the money or his sister, but about trust, respect, and having different values and priorities. He didn't take it well, accusing me of giving up too easily. It was hard, but I stood my ground. Following that encounter, I decided it was time to take concrete steps towards divorce. I reached out to a divorce attorney, and we had our first consultation last week. It was both enlightening and overwhelming. The lawyer explained the divorce process and what I could expect. When I told her about the $25,000 jewelry incident, she explained that in our state, this could be considered marital waste and might affect how our assets are divided. We discussed the possibility of mediation versus litigation. Given my husband's reactions, the lawyer suggested we prepare for the possibility of a contested divorce, although she hoped we could settle things amicably. One of the most challenging aspects has been going through our finances. I've discovered other significant withdrawals from our joint account that I wasn't aware of, mostly gifts for his family. It's been a painful reminder of how much my husband has been prioritizing his family of origin over our marriage. The lawyer advised me to gather all financial documents and start thinking about asset division and potential spousal support. It's surreal to be putting a price tag on the life we built together. On a personal level, I've started seeing a therapist to help me process everything. It's been incredibly helpful to have a neutral party to talk to, someone who can help me work through my emotions and give me tools to cope with this major life change. I've also thrown myself into my job search with renewed vigor. I had a promising interview last week for a marketing director position at a startup. The idea of having my own income again and rebuilding my career is both exciting and empowering. My parents continue to be my rock through all of this. They've assured me that I can stay with them as long as I need to, even if it takes months to sort out the divorce and find my own place. As for my soon-to-be ex-husband's family, I've been keeping my distance. His sister tried to reach out once, but it felt insincere given our history. My husband's parents left a voicemail accusing me of being selfish and abandoning their son. It hurt to hear, but it also reinforced that I'm making the right decision. Looking ahead, I know I have a long and potentially difficult road ahead of me. The prospect of divorce proceedings, dividing our assets, and dismantling the life we built together is daunting. There are moments when I feel overwhelmed, wondering if I'm making the right choice. But then I remind myself of why I'm doing this. I deserve to be in a relationship where I'm respected, where my opinions and feelings are valued, where financial decisions are made together. I deserve a partner who puts our relationship first, not someone who consistently prioritizes others over me. I'm trying to focus on the future and the possibilities it holds. Yes, I'm starting over at 42, but I'm also wiser, stronger, and more sure of what I want in life. I'm looking forward to rediscovering myself, to building a life that aligns with my values and goals. To those in similar situations, wondering if they should stay in a relationship that's not fulfilling or respectful, I want to say, trust your gut. It's scary to make a big change, but it's scarier to stay in a situation that's slowly eroding your self-worth and happiness. Thank you all again for your support and advice. I'll update again when there are significant developments in the divorce process. Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update, and I wanted to share the latest developments in my situation. The most significant event was my final face-to-face meeting with my soon-to-be ex-husband. We met at a neutral coffee shop to discuss the terms of our divorce and see if we could come to an agreement without going to court. When I first saw him, I was struck by how tired he looked. For a moment, I felt guilty, but I quickly reminded myself why we were here. We began with awkward small talk before I finally broached the subject of our divorce. I explained that I believed ending our marriage was the best decision for both of us and hoped we could handle this amicably. His reaction surprised me. Instead of anger, he seemed resigned. He said, "I've been doing a lot of thinking too. I realize now how much I've hurt you and how unfair I've been. I'm sorry it took losing you for me to see it." We spent the next couple of hours discussing the division of our assets, the sale of our houses, and how we would handle our joint debts. It wasn't easy, especially when we talked about the money he had spent on his sister. But overall, the conversation was more civil than I had expected. As we were wrapping up, he asked if there was any chance of reconciliation. I gently but firmly told him that while I appreciated his apology, too much had happened for us to go back. As we stood to leave, he hugged me. It was a bittersweet moment, the final embrace of a relationship that had once meant everything to me. The divorce proceedings are moving forward. We've drafted a settlement agreement based on our discussion, and we're hoping to finalize everything without going to court. The issue of the $25,000 jewelry set for his sister remains a sticking point, but we're still negotiating. On a personal level, I've been experiencing a whirlwind of emotions. There are days when I feel empowered and excited about my future, and others when the weight of ending my marriage hits me hard. My therapist has been helping me work through these feelings. I'm happy to report that I've secured a new position as a marketing director at a promising startup. It's exciting to be back in the workforce, and the financial independence has been a huge boost to my confidence. I've also joined a support group for people going through divorce, which has been incredibly helpful. My relationship with my ex's family remains strained, but I'm choosing not to engage to avoid more drama. As I look to the future, I'm filled with a mix of anticipation and anxiety. The idea of being single at 42 is daunting, but I'm also excited about the possibilities. I'm rediscovering who I am outside of my marriage, exploring new hobbies, and setting goals for myself. I've started looking for my own apartment, a place that will be entirely mine. It's both terrifying and thrilling to think about decorating a space that reflects just my tastes and needs. There are still difficult days, of course. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, panicking about whether I've made the right decision. But then I remind myself of all the reasons that led me here, of the self-respect I'm reclaiming, and I know that even with all the challenges, I'm on the right path. To those who reached out with support and shared their own stories, thank you. And to those in similar situations, questioning whether to stay or go, I want to say this: trust yourself. It's not an easy journey, but your happiness and self-worth are worth fighting for. I'll update again when the divorce is finalized. Until then, I'm taking it one day at a time, focusing on healing and building the life I want for myself. Update 3. It's been 2 months since my last update, and I'm writing this with a mix of emotions. The divorce is finally finalized. After what felt like an eternity of paperwork, negotiations, and emotional roller coasters, it's officially over. The day of the final hearing was surreal. At the courthouse, I saw my ex-husband for the first time in weeks. We exchanged awkward nods before entering the courtroom. The proceedings were surprisingly quick and anticlimactic. With the bang of a gavel, 6 years of marriage were legally dissolved. As we left the courtroom, my ex-husband handed me an envelope, saying he had written me a letter and asked that I read it when I got home. Then, with a sad smile, he wished me well and walked away. I stood there for a moment, envelope in hand, watching him disappear down the hallway. When I got home, I sat on my new couch in my new apartment and read the letter. It was heartfelt and honest. He apologized again for his behavior, acknowledging how he had taken me for granted and prioritized his sister over our marriage. What struck me most was when he wrote, "I realize now that love isn't just a feeling, it's a choice you make every day. I failed to make that choice too many times, and I'll always regret that." Reading his words brought tears to my eyes, not because I regretted my decision, but because it reinforced that ending the marriage was the right choice for both of us. He ended the letter by wishing me happiness and success in my new life. After reading it, I felt a sense of closure I hadn't expected. My new life is taking shape. I've been in my new apartment for a month now, and it's starting to feel like home. Decorating it has been a form of therapy. Every piece of furniture, every decoration is a reflection of my tastes and my choices alone. My new job is going well. I've thrown myself into work, enjoying the challenges and the sense of accomplishment it brings. It feels good to be valued for my skills and ideas. I've also been focusing on rebuilding my social life. The divorce support group has been a lifeline, and I've made some close friends there. We meet regularly, not just to talk about our divorces, but to enjoy life. I've also reconnected with old friends who had drifted away during my marriage. One unexpected development is that I've started volunteering at a local women's shelter. Helping other women who are going through difficult times has been incredibly rewarding and has given me a new perspective on my own journey. Of course, it's not all smooth sailing. There are still days when the loneliness hits hard, especially in the evenings or on weekends. I miss having someone to share the small moments of life with, but I'm learning to enjoy my own company and to find fulfillment in my independence. I've also started to tentatively think about dating again. The idea is both exciting and terrifying. I've created a profile on a dating app, but haven't gathered the courage to actually go on a date yet. My relationship with my ex's family remains complicated. His sister sent me a message after the divorce was finalized, apologizing for her role in our marital problems. While I appreciated the gesture, I've decided to maintain my distance. As for my ex-husband, we've had minimal contact since the divorce was finalized. We've exchanged a few texts about practical matters, but that's it. It's strange how someone who was once the center of my world has become almost a stranger. Looking back on this journey, I'm amazed at how far I've come. A year ago, I was in a marriage that was slowly suffocating me, doubting myself and my worth. Today, I'm standing on my own 2 feet, rebuilding my life on my terms. Yes, there's been pain and struggle, but there's also been immense growth and self-discovery. To those who are just starting this journey or are in the midst of it, I want to say, it gets better. The pain doesn't disappear overnight, but it does lessen. You'll discover strengths you never knew you had. You'll learn to enjoy your own company, and you'll realize that you are enough, just as you are. As I close this chapter of my life, I'm filled with gratitude for the lessons I've learned, for the support I've received, and for the opportunity to start anew. I don't know what the future holds, but for the first time in a long time, I'm excited to find out. Thank you all for being part of this journey with me. Your support and kind words have meant more than you know. Here's to new beginnings and the courage to pursue them.